It's the early 1500s. You're a German man coming home from a long day at work.
How could you? We're married. How could you betray me like that?
Honey, no, it's okay. I have this.
What the hell is an indulgence?
During the early 1500s, the Catholic Church was the main Christian authority in Europe. Its leader, the Pope, is seen as the spiritual leader of all Catholics and St. Peter's successor. The Pope of the time, Pope Leo X, held massive religious and political power. During this time, the Catholic Church was seen as corrupt, beginning to raise money in controversial ways. One of these ways was by selling something called an indulgence. This was written proof that their punishment for sinning was reduced, which to many was seen as buying forgiveness. In some instances, they were heavily marketed and seemed almost like a transaction.
I can't believe my wife would cheat on me. She doesn't even feel bad about it.
What? Adultery is a sin. Why doesn't she feel even the slightest bit of remorse?
'Cause of this.
What the hell is an indulgence?
That's where this guy comes into the picture. Martin Luther. No, not that one, this one. Luther was a German Christian monk and theologian who criticized the church giving out indulgences, amongst many other things. In 1517, he wrote the 95 Theses, a list of arguments criticizing the church. Hey, so about that thing.
Here, just give me this much and you're good.
Excuse me, Your Holiness?
Oh, it's you. How can I help you, child?
Some dude named Martin Luther gave us this?
95. What the hell is this?
By 1517, the printing press had spread throughout Europe and was a powerful means of mass communication. This allowed Luther's ideas to spread across Europe, which garnered the support of many who were also unhappy with the church's corruption. Suddenly, lots of people across Europe were now questioning the church, too.
That damn Martin Luther, how do we fix this?
I know, sir. Write him a letter.
I know. I'll write him a letter.
In 1520, Pope Leo, furious and worried about Luther's ideas rapidly spreading across Europe, wrote him a letter, warning him to take back his ideas and fall in line with the church.
Dear Martin Luther, stop it. Stop it. Like hell I will.
After failing to listen to the Pope, Pope Leo excommunicated Martin Luther from the Catholic Church. This means he is now kicked out of the church, no longer allowed to receive sacraments, excluded from the church in a formal way, can't hold any church roles or authority, but is still considered Christian. Sort of like being suspended from school, except he can only return once he repents and falls in line with church teaching. During this time, many monarchs began to grow tired of the church's influence and longed to become more independent. Germany was no exception and chose to protect him. The first was Frederick the Wise.
Why is the Pope always bullying me? Martin, what are you? I know, Martin, come with me.
Frederick hid Martin in Wartburg Castle, saving his life, and allowed him to spread his ideas. Luther's followers formed a new Christian group that rejected the Pope's authority, which became known as the Protestants since they protested against the church. This marked the start of the Protestant Reformation, which split Christianity in Europe, resulting in various conflicts. One of those conflicts was the 80-Year War, which saw Dutch Protestants rebelling against Spanish Catholics and resulted in the Netherlands' independence from Spanish rule. One of the most world-changing conflicts was the 30-Year War, beginning in 1618.
Did you hear? The king has passed, and another Catholic is taking the throne.
Those damn.
Hello.
Well.
This incident is known as the Defenestration of Prague. Defenested means to be thrown out of a literal window. This happened 3 times. The conflict began between 2 groups, the Catholic Habsburgs, who were a ruling noble family in the Holy Roman Empire, and the Protestant Bohemians, who were primarily Protestant nobles from the region of Bohemia, modern-day Czech Republic. The Roman Empire and Catholic Spain win the early battles, attempting to expand, control, and enforce Catholicism. The war is brutal, but it appears that they might dominate Europe. In 1625, Denmark, a Protestant nation, joined the war to help fight the Habsburgs. They lose. Bad. In 1630, Sweden entered the war and began to win. But there is one small detail that made things a bit complicated.
We need to combat the Catholics, but we don't have enough money for weapons. Well, hello.
France, although a Catholic nation itself, secretly began to support Sweden financially. This changes the war from religious to political. See, France had one issue. If the Habsburgs defeated the Protestants, it would leave them politically and militarily boxed in, and chose to support Protestant enemies over being crushed by Catholic rivals. In 1635, France went all in, actively fighting the Catholic Habsburgs. The war went from Protestants versus Catholics to Europe versus the Habsburgs. In 1648, the war finally ended with the Peace of Westphalia, a group of peace treaties negotiated by various countries. This saw the recognition of both Catholic and Protestant states. It also gave more power to individual countries and decreased control from empires like the Habsburgs. This marked the beginning of the modern state system in Europe as we know it today. The first major Protestant church that formed was the Lutheran Church, originally a name imposed on them by Catholics, but later accepted and recognized by the mid-1500s. Earlier reformers did exist, such as John Wycliffe in the 1300s and John Huss in the 1400s. They founded smaller movements that didn't succeed as Luther did. The Protestant Church eventually brings about other churches, like the Anglican Church and the Baptist Church. Then, in the 1700s, a movement involving various Protestant churches began, called the Evangelical Movement, the one that still exists today. It is worth noting that the corruption that once plagued the Catholic Church has largely been rooted out. Things like indulgences are no longer sold by the Church, and although still influential, it does not hold the sort of political influence it once did.